On this day, 60 years ago, December 18, 1965, 25-year-old First Lieutenant Harvey C. Barnum Jr. and his company of U.S. Marines were suddenly ambushed and pinned down by a hail of extremely accurate enemy fire near the village of Ky Phu in Quang Tin Province, South Vietnam. He and his men were quickly isolated from the rest of their battalion by over 500 meters of open. Fire swept ground and casualties around them mounted rapidly. In the midst of this chaos, First Lieutenant Barnum undertook a perilous reconnaissance under fire, seeking out enemy targets that his artillery support could strike. While moving among the fallen, he discovered that the rifle company S commander had been mortally wounded, and the Unit S radio operator was already dead. With complete disregard for his own safety, Barnum gave what aid he could to the dying commander, then removed the heavy radio from the dead operator and strapped it onto himself. He immediately assumed command of the beleaguered rifle company on the spot. Without hesitation, Barnum moved through the heavy enemy fire to rally and encourage the shocked Marines, reorganizing the survivors to replace the loss of their fallen leaders. He then led his men in a counterattack against the enemy positions that were still pouring deadly fire onto them. Barnum's calm and swift decisions under fire helped stabilize the badly decimated units. Time and again, he stood up in the open, fully exposed to enemy gunfire, to point out enemy targets for supporting fire, a gallant example that inspired all who saw him. As two armed helicopter gunships arrived overhead to help, Barnum ran through incoming fire to direct their airstrikes against the entrenched enemy positions. At one point, he even climbed onto a hilltop and literally pointed out enemy bunkers with his outstretched arm, so the pilots could zero in on the targets he marked. Meanwhile, Barnum also coordinated one platoon of Marines in a successful flanking counterattack that drove the enemy from a key position. After clearing a small patch of ground from the enemy, he called for two transport helicopters to come in and land, so that the company's many dead and wounded could be evacuated out of the battle. He personally helped secure the landing zone and assisted in the final mopping up and seizure of his battalion's objective from the enemy. For roughly the next 4 or 5 hours, the battle continued to rage as Barnum and his Marines fought off waves of hostile fire. Eventually, his battalion commander radioed that no relief could reach them. Barnum's company would have to get out on their own. Barnum then quietly led all 130 surviving Marines out of the trap and brought his men back to safety. For these heroic actions, First Lieutenant Barnum was awarded the Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration. He formally received the medal on February 27, 1967, during a ceremony at the Marine Barracks in Washington, D.C., where Secretary of the Navy Paul H. Nitzer presented it to him in person. Barnum continued to serve in the Marine Corps for nearly 3 more decades, retiring as a colonel in August 1989 after over 27 years of service. At 85 years old, Barnum is still with us, and the U.S. Navy has even named an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, USS Harvey C. Barnum Jr., DDG-124, in his honor.